Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm John Hartness and I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books, and I do somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 convention appearances every year. And these range from small one-day Comic-Cons to the enormity that is Dragon Con. And every convention has a different vibe. Every convention has a different thing that it's about. But there are some things that I see across a lot of conventions that writers are screwing up, and it's either costing them sales or it's costing them invites to other conventions and invites back to the conventions that they're at. So today I wanted to go over some of these mistakes that I see writers make either in the dealer room or on panels, and talk about some of the ramifications that can have on your career in various ways. I find conventions have been incredibly helpful in my career. They've helped me build a community of my peers. They have helped me meet writers who are further along in their career than me. They were incredibly valuable when I was starting out. I don't think I would be half the writer I am today or have half the career that I have if it weren't for people I met at some of those early conventions who took an interest in me and were willing to answer questions, were willing to help me progress as both a writer and just as a professional in the field. So here are 5 things that writers screw up at conventions. Number 1, you love talking about your book. I know you do. Because I love talking about my books, and as you can see, I got a few. I've got more than this. This isn't nearly everything. And I love talking about my books, but when you are on a panel, the less you talk about your book, the better you look to the audience. Now let's look at why that is. 1, your book doesn't fit every situation. I have been on panels with people that no matter what the question, they find some way to say, well, in my book, blah, 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 I did this with blah, 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 blah. Well, blah, 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 blah may have absolutely nothing to do with the question that they were asked, and now everybody in the audience knows that. And they know that you are only there to promote yourself. Spoiler, you are there to promote yourself. Second spoiler, don't tell people that. Your job as a panelist is to provide entertainment and education to the people out in the audience who paid for a ticket to the convention. In doing so, you want to present yourself in the best possible light so that they will find you interesting and they will come find you later to buy a book from you. If all you ever talk about is your book, then you come off as a used car salesperson. Some of you out there are old enough to remember WKRP in Cincinnati and the epitome of garbage salesperson, Herb Tarlick. Herb Tarlick had one gear, and that gear was sell, sell, sell. You don't want to be doing that. Nobody liked Herb. Herb was a jerk. Herb didn't get very many sales because all Herb ever did was ask for sales. One of the best ways to sell something to people is to make a real connection with them. Ask them questions. Talk about things they're interested in. If I walk up to your table wearing this t-shirt, the first thing you should ask me in the year 2025 is, hey, have you seen Andor? I hear it's incredible. What did you think? I will unfortunately say I haven't gotten around to watching it yet, but I also hear it's incredible. But now we've made a connection, and we have not made a connection about your book. Same thing when you're on a panel. If someone asks you a question about in-depth world building and creating political systems for your characters, and like me, you write mainly urban fantasy, don't talk about how, well, in my books, I basically lift the political systems that we have in our world. No. Talk about how George R.R. Martin took the actual historical War of the Roses and built a fantasy world and political system around that. Talk about how Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson in Wheel of Time created this rich tapestry of cultures and political systems by which people did whatever they do in that series. I'm sorry, y'all. It's been 20 years since I read it, and I didn't finish watching the series yet. But I do wish they'd renew it, because it is really pretty. It's a very pretty series and well acted. My point is, if you only ever reference your work when you're talking on a panel, you, one, don't look very well read. You, two, look like you're only there to sell, and not like you are there to entertain and educate. And three, you end up saying the same thing an awful lot, and then you're boring. So, be sure that you are answering the question with a diverse spread of different topics and backgrounds that you're drawing from. Don't just talk about your book or your series. Number two, this one's a sales thing. When you're selling at your table, this is really bad. If I'm just sitting here looking good, that sucks! Do not sit behind your table staring down at your laptop or your Kindle or your Facebook and not ever engage with people who are walking by. Yeah, sure, sometimes you're going to do a show that's just dead. I've definitely done it. And on those, when there's nobody walking by, sure, play on your phone, get some work done, do whatever. But when someone walks up to your table, engage. And engage in a pleasant fashion, not just a hard sell. Not, hey, what do you want to buy? Hey, do you like books? Hey, you look like somebody who reads a lot. Well, I'm carrying a bag full of books I've already bought, and I'm wearing a Book Dragon t-shirt. Yeah, I look like somebody who reads a lot. No. Look at the person and say, hey, how you doing? What do you like to read? Ask questions that don't get one-word answers, and engage. Darren Kennedy is an author friend of mine who I also publish. Darren and I learned together that t-shirts are some of the best ways to connect with people who are shopping. Somebody walks up in a Doctor Who t-shirt, a Marvel Comics t-shirt, a Star Wars, Star Trek t-shirt, anything nerdy, supernatural, we can immediately connect to them through fandom. But the key is to connect to them. My sister, Bonnie, not a nerd. Not even close to a nerd unless she's sitting next to me. She does not read science fiction and fantasy. She does not watch science fiction and fantasy or horror or really anything that we sell. But she can sell the hell out of books. Why? Because she looks at everybody who walks up to the table and says, hey, how you doing? How are you, sweetie? She can get away with calling anyone she wants sweetie because she's a 60-plus-year-old Southern grandma. I do not look like a 60-something-year-old Southern grandma. I don't want you to say in the comments if I look like a 60-year-old anything because I'm 52, damn it. But anyway, my point is that just by engaging, just by being friendly to the people who are walking up, you sell a ton. So many times I walk by an artist or an author's table and all they're doing is sitting here, looking down, looking bored, not talking to nobody, looking like somebody just kicked them in the knee or shot their dog or blah, 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 blah. Or worse, they're sitting there talking to their friend behind the table and ignoring the people who are walking up who are potentially going to pay their mortgage. This is not family reunion. This is not happy fun time. You are at a convention sitting behind a table to sell books and work. If you are going to sit there like this and glare at everybody who walks up, go away. Get out. You're not just hurting your own sales, you're probably crapping on the sales for the people next to you too. I've seen this. I've seen spouses come to cons and sit with their loved one who they want to support and just sit there like a lump, like an angry lump, like an angry murderous lump. Get them out. If they're behind the table, they need to be working and they need to be engaging and they need to be friendly. You don't have to make deep, lifelong connections with this person. You might. I have dear friends that I've met from selling them stuff at conventions. After multiple appearances at the same shows, some of these people are some of my dearest friends. That's lovely. And some of them just think I'm kind of that funny fat guy with the gray beard, but they stop and they buy my shit. Because you know what? I talk to them. I don't sit there for a whole day just sitting like this and then gripe in the bar because I only sold 4 books all day. Yeah, you didn't engage. Number 3, here's how not to get invited back to a convention. Don't ever flake out on a panel. If you are assigned a panel, whether you think you are qualified to speak on that topic or not, if you don't talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm not really comfortable speaking to this topic, can I be moved? Most of the time they'll say yes. But if you don't do that, your butt better be sitting in that chair several minutes before the panel starts. Here's where I tell on myself. Here's story time with Uncle Johnny. This year, this April at JordanCon, I had, I believe, 4 panels, maybe 5. The last one on Sunday was my only panel for the science fiction track. I was pretty excited because my friend Sean was running the panel and my friend Chuck Gannon was on the panel with me. I was hyped to talk about these things. Except I screwed up and I got the time wrong. I missed the panel. Or at least I missed the first 45 minutes of the panel. Because 2/3 of the way through the panel, I realized that I had put the time in my phone wrong. I thought the panel was at 11:30, it was at 10:30. So as I'm looking to see what room the panel is in, so that I can go and be 10 minutes early, I realize that I'm 40 minutes late. I still went. I walked in, I sat down, I waited for a break in the conversation, and I apologized. I apologized to Chuck, I apologized to Sean, and I apologized to everybody in the room. I told them that I had made a stupid mistake and that I was very sorry. Nobody was pissed at me because I owned it. I made an honest mistake and I owned it. As long as you do that, you're fine. I've missed panels at Con Carolinas when I was the programming director. I missed a panel at Dragon Con last year because I hurt my foot and I couldn't go. Every time I was going to miss those panels and I knew I was going to miss them, I told somebody so that they could get the heads up. In the case of the panel I missed at Dragon, I texted a friend of mine who I knew was on the panel as well, and said, hey, I screwed up my foot. I can't walk that far in the time allotted, and I don't know if I can walk that far today regardless. And I couldn't, actually. I had hurt my Achilles tendon, and I needed several hours with it elevated and taking Advil, and the next day I was limping but okay. Subsequently, I'm fine. That is not anything bothering me. But I tried to be as responsible as possible and let someone know what was up. If you just no-show panels, as a con runner and programming director, I've blacklisted people for that crap. If you don't show up and you don't tell anybody, that's a big problem. At Con Carolinas, when I was programming director, we would routinely have 200 to 250 applications for about 130 to 150 guest slots. Big conventions like Dragon Con, they get probably 2,000 applicants for 400 guest spots. Nobody's hurting to fill a slot, and there's 4 people waiting for your shot. So if you screw it up, the convention's not the one that's going to be hurt, it'll be you. So if you screw up and get the time wrong, as soon as you realize it, go to the people who run the event and apologize. Explain what happened. Everybody's human. If you have a medical emergency or a family emergency and have to leave the convention early, there's not going to be any hard feelings, but you do have to tell someone. And you have to be the one to tell them. It doesn't need to be your friend. Unless it's literally you are having a medical emergency and you are rushed to the hospital. Then I'll give you a pass on getting a buddy to tell the con. Number 4. And boy, some of y'all are gonna hate this one. You're gonna hate it. Hate it with the blazing passion of 1,000 suns, because you do it all the time. You come in, you sit down, you've got your nameplate with your name on it, and the first thing you do is you sit a book right in front of your flippin' face. They ain't there to look at the cover of your book. They're not even there to look at your nameplate. Nameplates are good. They're important. I really like when conventions either, one, the nameplate stays in the room and somebody there is responsible for the nameplates, or 2, they use dry erase nameplates and we can come in and scribble whatever we want before the panel. That's more environmentally friendly, and I'm a flake sometimes, and I cannot be trusted to carry a nameplate around past the very first time I'm going to use it at a convention over the course of the weekend. So if you ever see me with a nameplate in front of me that's pre-printed on one of those cardboard table tents, it's because someone is taking care of that for me, and I really appreciate it. Or it's a dry erase one and I can just write Hartness on it and be done. But please don't put a big wall of books up in front of your face on a panel. For one, if you're on an elevated stage and you put a wall of books right here, the people in the first 2 rows literally can't see your face. And 2, here's the rude part. It's a dead giveaway of an indie. Never seen a guest of honor at a big convention walk in with 3 books and set them up in front of them. Brandon Sanderson doesn't do it. Jim Butcher doesn't do it. Mayberry, Scalzi, none of those guys do it. This is a case of dressing for the career you want, not the career you have. Emulate the people who are higher on the bill than you are. Because if you're doing your job on the panel, they will remember you. They will not remember you because of the cover of your book that they probably can't see from 75 feet back in the room. They're going to remember you because you had something insightful to say about the topic, because you were funny, because everyone up there treated you like a peer and you were the unfamiliar one. So maybe they came up after and took a card or a bookmark saying that, hey, I'm John, I'm a Falstaff Books. If you want to come up and grab a bookmark at the end of the panel, please do. That way you can remember how to find me. That's great. But setting up a wall of books in front of you, walking in all bright and eager like it's your first day of school and you're carrying your books and you set them up, it's a dead giveaway that you're a rookie or an indie. And you're not there to look like the new kid. You're there to look like a pro. So look at how the guests of honor are comporting themselves and do that. Unless the guest of honor's a douche, and then don't do that. And here's one. Number 5, my final point for this video, the thing that I promise will make people decide to never buy one of your books, because I've watched it in audiences' eyes. Do not ever talk crap about another book. Do not ever talk smack about another author on a panel. I have watched it too many times. Not like, oh yeah, that John Hartness guy, he's a jerk. Because most people who are going to say that are going to be saying it on a panel with me, and I will agree with them. Because they're my friends, and talking crap to my friends is my love language. For a while there, in urban fantasy, on panels, the hip thing to make yourself look cool was to talk shit about Twilight. Because, oh yeah, Twilight, horrible writing. Oh yeah, creepy story. Oh yeah, awful Mormon theology. Awful this, awful that. You know what? I read the first one. Book's pretty good. You know what else? She sold more copies of that book than me and most of my friends put together. So if you're talking crap about the hot new book that is blowing up the charts, then you look like a bitter, jealous bitch. If you are talking crap about a book that isn't selling very well, then you look like a nasty gatekeeping prick. Don't do it. There's no win. There's no reason to talk smack about a book, whether you love it or hate it. You can absolutely say, that one wasn't for me. Or, yeah, I see the appeal, it's just not what I'm into. I say that about a lot of things because I'm into urban fantasy and police procedurals. I don't read a ton of romance. I don't read a ton of cozy anything, really. Not my jam. I've read some. I can see that it's really well done. Just not my thing. I can say that and nobody in the audience is going to hate my guts. But I have sat next to authors and watched them slag on a book or a series and looked out there and I thought to myself, that was her favorite book, and I can tell by her face that she is never buying a single book this man writes ever again. I could watch that from 20 feet away, and it immediately changed the way I behaved on panels, because I used to do it too. I thought it was cool to talk crap about the best-selling author thing, because, hey, it's not hurting their sales. I promise that none of the times I said things about Twilight hurt Stephanie Meyer's book sales one teeny tiny bit. I also think that my wife's multiple watchings of every one of the Twilight movies offset any damage I could have possibly done to her book sales. Because my wife loves those movies. Again, not my thing. I really love some of those actors. Robert Pattinson's actually a really incredible actor. I heard his Batman's good. What do y'all think? But there's 5 things that authors do that hurts them at conventions, either in sales or on panels or both. Note that I did this finger, then this finger, and I did not then do the finger that goes immediately in the center of those two. See, I'm learning. If you like this kind of advice, or if you think I'm an idiot and you want to see what stupid crap I'll say next time, be sure to subscribe. Ring the bell to get notified. And if you have questions or things you want to see me cover in future videos, leave a comment down below. And you can go to the Falstaff Books Shopify, which is linked down below, and you can buy any of our stuff. So until next time, thank you, and get out there and write something.